somebody may think, oh man, I see a good leader. Nobody's teaching me how to do this, so I'm going to mimic that leader. That becomes a persona. Our weekend allows us as men to uncover who is it that's really underneath all of this stuff that we thought we were supposed to do and be as a man, as a leader, as a father, as a husband. It just really helps uncover that for men.
Welcome to the Crucible Project Podcast. The Crucible Project is a nonprofit organization committed to creating a world of men and women who live with integrity, grace, and courage, helping them to fulfill their God-given purpose. This podcast will discuss important and sometimes difficult topics while delivering practical life applications with men and women who are currently practicing this work. We are igniting Christ-like change in men and women through experiences of radical honesty and grace.
Welcome back to the Crucible Project Podcast. This is the Real Christian Manhood series. Hey, I'm Roy Wooten. I'm here with Byron Myers.
Hey, good to be back.
Last time we took on some rough topics, and today we're going to talk about leadership in some detail, right?
Yeah.
They say that imitation is the best form of flattery. And I kind of like it whenever I find somebody mimicking me in some way or trying to be like me, especially if they're 5 years old, right? It's just the cutest thing in the world. But the truth is, imitation is not the sincerest form of leadership, nor is it the quickest route to leadership. It's actually the quickest route to mediocrity.
Yep, for sure.
In my early days of leading, I tried to be like other people. I wanted to lead like my mentor, Lynn Harms. I don't know if you know that name. Lynn was a good Christian leader running a children's home up in the panhandle of Texas. And I was just like, I'm going to be like Lynn Harms. I tried to lead that way. I think I did it even around leading myself. I saw different men that I thought, man, that's a real man. I want to be like him. And so I would try to get into the things that he was into and do the kinds of things that he was doing. And as a Christian pastor, I would try to imitate other people in my delivery style or my preaching style. Yeah, I've been guilty of being all about mimicry, especially early in my career.
Oh, yeah. My athletic coaching was that way. I sounded so much like my basketball coach in my head. And tried to coach like him and was pushing string. And when I moved into girls softball, I had a really good mentor, Dan Shepard, and I would mimic and sound like him. I remember watching the girls just roll their eyes because I was trying to sound just like him. Or these people do pour in, and they are voices that are a part of me, but I really have to be me and take some of their best aspects and incorporate them into me.
Yeah, and sometimes mimicking others is a way to learn. But one of the things that I learned before long is I was not Lynn Harms. I was never going to lead exactly like he did. And there were things about me that just didn't fit exactly with his style.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a well-known motivational coach out there that put in one of his books this idea of modeling rather than mimicking. And he uses Michael Jordan as an example. I could never be Michael Jordan because I don't have his physical skills. But if I practiced like him, then I will be better at basketball, right?
Yes.
I would never reach his level, but if I practice like him. So the modeling after somebody is okay because it makes us better. But the flat out mimicry is just impossible because we're not them.
I remember for a few decades, there was a massive growth out in Willow Creek, a church that had grown really big, one of the early mega churches of the non-denominational movement. And what they did was they started telling people what they were doing that was influencing people to come. And so churches everywhere started buying different lighting and different seats and changing up what they call seeker-sensitive kind of ways of attracting. And it didn't work for a lot of churches. And in fact, it really made a lot of churches wonder who we are and struggle with their identity around trying to copycat or mimic what worked in Illinois versus what might work in their community with their people, in the culture that they're doing church with. What might be another way to be seeker sensitive besides just copying what somebody else did somewhere else? I think most of the time, mimicking or copycat leadership fails. It just doesn't work for the long haul.
Absolutely. And it's frustrating to the up and coming leader. Yeah, it just feels like, why did I do this? What am I really? That's one of the things I love about our retreats. Our retreats actually put us face to face as who are you really? Who are you really? What's going on? What are the personas and masks and the copycat stuff that you're carrying? And when I say that, personas and masks, there's probably this negative connotation that somebody may take on to think, oh, I purposely put on a mask before I walk out of my house every day. And really, honestly, all it is, man, I see a good leader. Nobody's teaching me how to do this, so I'm going to mimic that leader. That becomes a persona. That becomes a mask. That becomes a way that I think I ought to be and not who I really am. Our weekend allows us as men to uncover who is it that's really underneath all of this stuff that we thought we were supposed to do and be as a man, as a leader, as a father, as a husband, as an employee. It just really helps uncover that for men.
And I think one of the reasons why it's so easy to try to do it the way that somebody else is doing it is it's really about fear, right? Yeah. The leader that they have put on a pedestal is doing well, and they think, if I can just do it the way he or she's doing it, then I will not fail. So my fear of failure keeps me from really being who I am in my leadership. And I put on the persona of that other person to go out and lead, whether it's just leading myself or leading my family, leading some group that I'm a part of, the employees at work, or whatever it is that I'm called to.
Absolutely. And tied to that fear a little bit, we start worrying about what other people are expecting. They're expecting XYZ. If I lead as myself, sometimes I don't meet their expectations, but I'm actually leading correctly. I'm leading authentically. And there's a fear that what if I lead like myself and they don't accept it?
Well, the word authentically really grabbed me because in the end, authentic leadership is what builds trust in a team.
Oh, yeah.
Inauthentic leadership is what leads to mistrust on the team.
Absolutely.
So leading from who I am and maybe borrowing models, as you said, of the Michael Jordans out there or whoever in my leadership journey, grabbing their models, but leading from who I am is really the most important thing. I think about guys who get up every morning and they're at the gym by 5:30. They've got this real regimented fueling, they call it, for their meal plans, and they're just really on it. If you're a person who is unable to get up easily, then you trying to mimic them will only lead in failure for your fitness plan, right? Yeah. So even if you're just leading yourself, the inauthenticity of just trying to copycat someone else will always lead in the long term to failure instead of success.
Absolutely. And you also talked about discipline, Roy. Discipline is not leadership. And discipline is a myth in the sense that when somebody says, well, if I had more discipline, I would. And it's really, if I had more habit. Discipline's the short-lived piece. Habit is the long term. For us to say, okay, I must be disciplined as a leader. Discipline's good to have to get you from A to B, but your habit is the biggest key. And like we keep saying, it has to fit you. It has to fit you. A 5:30 workout habit for some people is just not good for them. They're not wired to be 5:30 in the morning people. Maybe they need to do their workout at 5:30 in the afternoon as they finish off their tension from the day.
Discipline, while it's an essential part of getting going, it's not the goal. Like if you don't know who you are or what your why is, discipline really just becomes theater. I'm acting my way toward it instead of really being it. And this is where most men miss the mark. They see someone who inspires them, so they adopt his mission and copy his routine. But that's not me being the king that Jesus wants me to be in my domain.
Absolutely. And discipline also becomes law. Very similar to what we see in Scripture. where the teachers of the law and the Pharisees, they made laws in order not to break the law. This whole discipline becomes law, and now I'm a judgy leader, and I'm judging other people. Oh, well, he's not much of a leader if he can't be disciplined like I am. And that's not it either.
I'm speaking at a series of convened Christian business leaders conferences across the U.S. I'll be out in L.A. before too long. And one of the things that I'm talking about is burnout.
Yeah.
You talk about burnout, the amount of energy that it takes me to try to be someone else over time, it's a for sure way to burn out, right?
Absolutely.
The problem isn't a discipline problem. It's an identity problem. Who are you?
That's what I ask leaders that I coach on a regular basis. You really need to look at who are you. One of our elders is a former NFL player, and he has wrestled with this. And part of it is NFL, the identity of the organization and the discipline and the work ethic they took on in order to perform at the highest levels. Once they leave that, they go, who am I now? And one of the most brilliant things that God had taught him that I just think is a beautiful story. He says, I've been a quarterback, but honestly, all I was, even as a quarterback, was a bridge. I'm a bridge. He's a guy who influences people and then he hands them off. He bridges them from where they were to where they're going to be. I really wasn't as special as I thought I was. I was just a bridge, and that's what I am. And man, when he landed on that, it has been just eye-opening, beautiful for him. And what a great analogy for us to understand. We're not all bridges, but what are you? Who are you?
If I know who I am, then I can put the discipline on it. Now I'm ready to fly. Now I'm free. Now I'm dangerous.
That's right.
Because freedom isn't found in doing hard things. It's found in doing the hard things for the right reasons. And whenever I'm clear on who I am and my why, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fly.
Yeah. I mean, that's not going to be without its barriers and the things that you'll run into. But oh my goodness, your recovery from barriers becomes so much faster because you just land right back in, this is who I am. And I'm okay with it.
I think about the many people I've known who started a business, and the people who started a business with a big why, they get through those barriers easier than the person who started the business and they didn't have a big why. They didn't have their motivation clear. They didn't have their identity clear. And once they got that, you're nearly unstoppable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very similar to what you and I just finished. We finished staffing one of our second level weekends, Mission and Life Purpose for Men. And those men walk away with a who am I, my mission statement. This is me. This is my mission in the world. And if they can hone that in and stay living in that, their joy, their energy, it is just a much smoother, not perfect because we don't live in a perfect world, but a much smoother drive for them.
It's what drives me in the morning. My big why is my mission. It is what can get me through the rougher times in life, getting clarity. The more I say yes to mission-centric things and no to things that are off mission, the happier I am, the better of a man I am.
When you say no to some of those things and you disappoint somebody, how are you handling that, being a man on mission?
So sometimes it's easier than others. I had someone call who I have a bit of influence, and they were like, man, if you could just tell people about this, you could really influence a lot of people to it. It was not mission-centric, and me promoting it wasn't mission-centric, and I felt like it was going to be a distraction from my mission. It was going to be off mission and consume time that I could use in mission. So I told him no, that I'm not the right guy and I've got clarity around what I need to be spending my time on, and that just doesn't fit. That was an easier one to say than whenever my church asked for some things and I want to do it and I would be helpful to do it, but it's not mission-centric and it's not even mission-adjacent. I love them and I just couldn't figure out how to say yes to it and be in integrity with myself. So I said, I think there's probably someone else that this is meant for. And ask me again in a different season of life, and I might say yes. But for this season, I am so focused on what God has me doing right now that I believe it would be out of integrity for me to say yes to that.
For sure.
It's hard. It's hard because you're not saying no to bad things. That's
Correct.
easier to do. I'm saying no to good things. Whenever I come home from doing mission-centric things, I have energy within my body, even though I'm tired. I have joy and peace and just fulfillment. And when I come home from things that I might not have spent as much energy on, but that were not mission-centric, I don't have that feeling. And I really feel like, what was I doing? Did I waste my time today, right? Being out of mission. So
Absolutely. Yep. Feel the same. And that's not to say in your job, you and I, our job, but any man who's listening to this podcast, in your job, there are a few undesirable things that you still must keep. But how do you even turn those into your mission-centric, your personal identity, authentic, leading way? How do you even make those succumb to your authenticity?
absolutely. I do think that's why they call it a job. That's why they pay us, because we have to do some things that we don't love to be a part of that. And I'm thankful that so much of what I get to do is within mission for me.
Yeah.
But I also believe when I get the why behind that, that's centered in my mission, then that thing I don't love to do becomes mission-centric for me.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
so I can't always do that, but I can with most of the things that I get to do. So
Absolutely.
yeah, this has been a great conversation today. Anything else you want to say around this idea of this copycat leadership and really moving more toward leading from an authentic place?
I just reiterate, it's not a quick answer. Who are you as a leader? And it needs to be a heartfelt search. It's okay to ask a few other people their opinion, but doesn't mean they're accurate. It may even help you go, no, I refute that, but I am this. So I think answering that question is huge for the leader.
Father's Day will be coming up before too long. I think about my leadership as a father, the things that I regret doing so imperfectly and the ways that I won. But even there, leading with authenticity, leading from who I am, getting clear on who I am will make me and made me a better father, will make you a better father. And then leading out of that place. I think most guys think, these are the things about my dad I want to make sure to do. And these are the things about my dad that I do not want to parent like. And unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves doing the very things we said we'd never do. Even mimicking our father or trying to mimic some other dad out there isn't the answer. The answer is to get clear on who you are so that you can lead your family from an authentic place. So, man, Byron, thank you so much. We always have a good talk about whatever the topic is, and really appreciative about having this conversation with you. If we can help anyone listening become better at being an authentic leader, check us out through coaching at thecrucibleproject.org/coaching, or grab one of our Thursday lunchtime Central Time Better Man check-ins. Go visit one of those, or take a deep dive on one of our men's retreats. Who knows, Byron or I might actually be at it. Come take an adventure to get clear about who you are so that you can lead yourself and those in your domain with authenticity. God bless you.
For more information about our weekends, please go to thecrucibleproject.org. Or if you're ready to get started on your transformational journey right now, you can connect with one of our Crucible certified coaches for a free 30-minute session at thecrucibleproject.org/coaching. That's thecrucibleproject.org/coaching. If you like what you heard, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Rate and review wherever you are listening, and don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. Thank you for listening.